Today we're going to be focusing on, will this signal we've used twice, well, almost 3 times in the last couple of months. Pretty much we've used it once or twice a month, and it is showing up again for Nvidia. Will it work again? That's something that we're really going to focus on today. So the two stocks that we really have to watch going on throughout today is going to be Apple and is especially going to be Nvidia. Nvidia, if this thing starts to turn down, we'll see if this 2 hour can confirm down, but that is the signal we're looking for, and this signal has proven to work for pivotal points in the market. Back in August once, back in September once, and even back in August. I think it happened twice actually on my birthday. So we still have to see if that signal does produce. If you got those weekly expected moves, you probably know exactly what kind of signal I am looking at right now, because I got my weekly expected moves over on my other charts. So if you want to get those weekly expected moves, please join the Patreon. They are very, very helpful, and it will tell you when to find pivotal points throughout the month like this. And when they pop up, it is a beautiful, beautiful trade. The last time that we were able to take this was down in this area, and you can see from that low, which I believe the buy point was somewhere in here, from that low, you saw a 13%, almost 13% move up when that did actually play out to the upside. Very fantastic. Used it again over here, used it again here, used it again here. Now we're seeing it pop up. So are we going to see this actually be a pivotal point for the market, or are we going to see earnings help the market remain higher? That's what we're going to watch today. Some people out there watching IWM, I think that's perfectly fine to watch, and you'll notice that we're maybe the only thing you need to pay attention to for IWM and the Dow is going to be, look at these 15 minutes starting to curl over. That is a bad sign. You are outside of the weekly expected move. This can start to pile on. And IWM very, very close to crossing. Look at that. You're getting a red blip outside of a weekly expected move. That means be very freaking cautious with this move, because the biggest time frame that we watch, throughout the week for the most part, right? We pay attention to the weekly and monthly scale, but throughout the week we can watch dailies as well. That is crossing over, and you're crossing over in unexpected areas. So this might take the options market off guard. This is enough to flip you into negative gamma. The only thing you're hoping for here is some kind of small 30-minute rejection divergence, if not some kind of triple divergence on the 15-minute to push you back up into a positive trend. That's going to also come clearly when you look at the DIA. You'll notice that, what were we talking about down here? Well, this is just a 15-minute, and that can lead to a bounce. But what's the big problem here on the 30-minute is you are negative, okay? So you do have an opportunity if we're able to hold up early on today. You really have to hold up early on, because we were looking for the structure, right? We mentioned this during the live show, how this could be some kind of neckline at this point, and a reaction from here could just be a right shoulder, and all of this could be distributed to the downside, and you're hitting unexpected levels. And what's happening with the Dow right now? The daily is crossing over. This is not a good sign for stocks as of right now. If we get some bad news behind this, this can really start to pile on, but we do have the opportunity as it's happening early on in the day for this to set up some divergence points. So that's what I'd be looking for from IWM, from DIA, but we are seeing things really start to confirm down. Palantir showing you a little 30-minute divergence. Just as we take back the 5-day moving average, you're noticing that divergence is confirming as of right now. That tells you that this 2 hour might have just been a bounce, and we might actually end up turning down and going negative here. And I think that's a big thing, right? So this did curl up, but very, very bad bars, really just wicks coming in. I know it's like, hey, take a chance, but now you're saying, now the MACD is pretty much saying, hey, manage the trade if this posts in about 30 minutes, right? If that posts in about 30 minutes, that's going to say, hey, I might need to manage the trade, see if that can whip back around. If it can't, then this might just be some kind of ABC move to land at lower prices. We do have a weekly expected move over on Patreon for Palantir. Weekly expected moves, monthly expected moves, we give it all out on Patreon, and they are very freaking useful. And that's why I was really saying, hey, with Nvidia's look right now, I kind of trust this signal, and now we're 2% down. So if this 2 hour can cross today, that's going to be a big deal. Notice that we are going directly towards what? The 5-day, that staggery blue line is the 5-day moving average, not a 5 on the 2 hour. It is the 5-day moving average. And so if that does confirm down, that can mean some major weakness there. Apple and Meta pumping market. Yeah, and one thing is Microsoft. I did notice Microsoft was trying to hold upward moves here, and we'll look into a 30-minute. You'll see that is very, very positive. Little tiny divergence popping up there, maybe a 30-minute pullback. You don't necessarily want to be saying, oh yeah, this has to reverse back down. It can. It can because of how Nvidia looks, right? The market's going to follow Nvidia, and maybe this is just, pump Microsoft higher so I can get out of my position in a sell zone, right? This is a resistance zone at this point, but that can still be bullish if that's able to turn around at any time. Just keep that in mind. Someone saying that Amazon looks kind of good. Let's go look at Amazon. Amazon actually showing that 30-minute divergence and confirming yesterday at the end of the day. And what do we see? We see a gap down. And you actually see that divergence on the 2-hour as well. So what does that mean here? That actually means that the daily might not be able to hold this cross up and might just turn right back down, and this might all be a fake out. Remember, we were stating how this really looked like a trap. Notice that the dollar is continuing to head higher. Okay, notice that that's happening. And we got a little hint from the housing sector yesterday saying, hey, I don't know what the market's doing yesterday, right? This is what housing sector was saying yesterday. I don't really know what the market's doing today, but the housing market is doing god awful. We can go look at nail. It looks like we're getting a little reaction. We'll see if that can base out at any time. I do not have weekly expected moves for this, but we got those Bollinger Bands pretty tight. Now it looks like we might spread them out, right? We saw this starting to get a little bit tighter, and now we're seeing the downfall. So this is where we really have to start looking at weeklies. Now we're going to look at the housing sector to do this. But I want you to see how even nail, something like home builders, maybe we can go to XHB actually. Let's do that because someone brought it up yesterday. You can see the weekly divergence is there. Okay, you see it. Boom. Boom on the MACD and very significant on the RSI here. So if the weekly is able to cross here, that would mean we have some major weakness going forward. So that's something to pay attention to a lot of the time. So actually, sometimes the housing market will give you a hint. You know what I mean? It will be the first one to say, hey, things are turning down, watch out, right? So it can be a leading one. But for now, we just have to see, because the SPY is down. I know we've been looking at other stuff, but the SPY is down by that daily expected move. What have we done over and over again? Well, we keep getting to that daily expected move and seeing buyers step in. So will they be able to step in this time, or is this some kind of lower high on the 30-minute? Well, we need this to cross to really tell us that's a lower high, and then we have to break through, I would say, this entire zone, but for now, you would say the daily expected move. Apple, let's go look over at that real quick, because Apple showing some divergence points up here. You still want to be aware this could be cup and handle in some way. So if that flips back around, we can see a good move. But the 2-hour has crossed down, telling you, uh-oh, this does not look good as far as momentum goes. So the big thing today is going to be, do we get some bad news to really turn down a lot of daily charts, right? Does that actually happen? Does this happen for Nvidia? That's going to be a big deal, I think, going forward. Do we actually get some bad news? Tesla, you're going to notice that the hourly signal that we were paying attention to was able to confirm yesterday. That's a big deal. You do have divergence at this point, very, very significant, but you want to be cautious because the entire market looks kind of wonky here. You just want to be cautious with this type of thing because, yes, that's an hourly divergence. Yes, that can turn up maybe like a 4-hour chart, and that's starting to happen. But is that going to last? Because you're very, very negative here. Even if you pop up to this zone, you can just use that as sellers and then shoot back down. And this doesn't have to play out if the market goes through something a little bit bad. So you really want to see IWM, I think, could be a good hint. I think the Dow could be a good hint if we're going to form some little divergences or something like that. But this is just the first tick. This would be a very wonky divergence. But you can see how if we would get support from that level, maybe we do buy a little bit of time. Very, very weird looks. Oil was booming and then backed off a little bit. Now starting to take off again, just so you're aware, just a little bit there. And then gold actually looked kind of toppy as well. We noticed the divergence on gold going on the 15-minute. We like our 30 minutes, so 30-minute is there. See that downward move, see that downward move. That's kind of why we were bringing up gold. We were like, which one's lying? And my opinion is, I think gold and Bitcoin are the liars here. Not saying Bitcoin has to die down. I think there's a market for Bitcoin. We can see that it's trying to base out in some way. It's just kind of failing to do so at this point. Right, we've pointed out the triple divergence here for the 2-hour that likes to roll down some bigger time frames, and that looks like that is what is happening now. You'll notice that the 4-hour had a bunch of rejections, just keeps turning down. So now you have to be open to the daily crossing back down here. So if you want to hold up, you got to hold up in the next, I would say, 48 hours for Bitcoin. Palantir flipped back around to positive, so good stuff there. The 2 hour is the 30-minute unconfirmed, and the 2 hour is still remaining curled up. So we do have that weekly expected move for you for Palantir if you needed something for that. AMC and GME both backing off. And I actually think DIA is probably the one to watch. See if it sets up this 30-minute divergence down here. Very flat, but we'll see if that's able to happen. It would be there if we need to make a bigger handle, I would say, because we pretty much came exactly to where we wanted to. Then we made a little handle, and now it's starting to distribute, so we'll see. Good morning, Frankie. Good morning, Landon. Young Loon, what's up? Connie, how you doing this morning? Kunik, Robert, good morning, Fardis. How you guys doing today? Hope everyone's got their coffee ready. Today's stream, it's a big maybe, I might have to cut things a little bit short. Just because we have some maintenance coming over here. So maintenance is coming over. I don't want you guys to hear a bunch of banging. All right, so now we got to see just by end of day, does that daily post? And I'm going to go look real quick just to make sure nothing crazy is happening in the world. I know, oh, McDonald's. I think it'd be fun to look at McDonald's. That was a dramatic move. I know people got sick from this and stuff, so not a good thing, but it did give you some nice 30-minute divergence at the top. Notice that, 30-minute divergence with some bad news, you can see a massive move. So I wish I would have looked at this yesterday, right? I wish I would have looked at it, because I think people got euphoric a little bit after Trump did his thing, just a little bit there, and then we created that divergence point. We never really were able to fully go back up. We did cross up for a brief moment. That's a little bit sketchy. But for the most part, 2 hour just dropping off a cliff. So not a good sign there, but great move for a little 30-minute divergence. Had the little hiccup, that's the problem there. Actually, the 15, let's see the management of the trade if this would have... No, unlucky. Management of the trade might have took you out of that, but if you were confident in it scaling into a move or something like that, that'd be more what... would have been the good thing there if you were lucky enough to just scale in and not necessarily manage the trade. SMCI seeing some downside, AMC GME seeing downside. A lot of red going across except for Microsoft. One thing about Microsoft, just real quick, I'm going to go double check this because I was looking at it this morning. Microsoft is outside of a weekly expected move at this level, just so you're aware. Microsoft is outside of a weekly expected move right now. Nvidia more downside, the monthly expected move would say so. Be careful around earnings, but the way you know that there should be, right, higher probability for more downside is if this 2 hour is able to cross. Right now you're kind of just testing that 5. I just want you to look at the 5 real quick on this move up. We take back the 5, we lose it briefly, take it back, touch it, lose it briefly, take it back, lose it briefly, take it back. So a lot of the time you will react down to the 5. You have to see if you lose it briefly and take it back. If you don't lose it briefly, you can start to go the other direction. Notice this, we lose it briefly, take it back, we lose it, we do not take it back, we just react up to it, test off of it, and see something ugly. So if we start to lose this, maybe try to get a reaction and reject, that's when you want to pay attention. I think this level could come to be important. 127.74 is what I would say, but it could be a little higher, it could be a little zone. But if we react down to this level, we get some sporadic move like this, we bounce up, and then we curl back down. Look at the head and shoulders that would pop up for Nvidia. So just be cautious here. We are outside of a monthly expected move, and the last few times we've used these signals, here, they've all played out so far. So this signal is doing really good over the past few months. Obviously, it's not going to happen every single time, but with how volatility is and the behavior of the market right now, it's working out. So I'd really be looking for if this does cross down. If it's not going to cross down, then this 30 minutes is going to turn back up. But the actual entry point was about 142.44. VIX going positive. Yeah, we can go check on volatility as well. Notice this though about volatility, still relatively controlled. Not even as big. So we're actually seeing Nvidia sell. We're seeing the SPY make a similar move to yesterday, but we're not seeing this big move in volatility just yet. I wanted us to come down and really come down and fill this gap. We kind of left it just barely short. And something I wanted here was a 2-hour divergence, right? Now we did get the rejection, that 2 hours pointing back up, so that means this could be a higher low at this point. Can that go positive? Can this be enough to turn up that daily as it's still positive at this moment? That's going to be the big deal. But notice you didn't hear me saying, hey, the squeeze is coming, the squeeze is coming. If we would start to lose this 50, then I would more likely be saying, okay, the squeeze can happen down, and then we need to watch that 200, right? So it's good that we are paying attention to this. It means that we're keeping our head on our shoulders, right? We're paying attention to the right things. If this curls back down on a 30-minute, what do you think happens? Well, if we're going to see a sell-off soon, then we could create a divergence on the 30-minute. What would be the good thing? Happy birthday, Lucas. Is it your birthday? My birthday is August 22nd. I'm sorry. But one of those signals did happen on August 22nd, pretty much. It was forming during then. So it was a great birthday for me. What a birthday present the market gave me. So something here is, this is still negative. So something very, very good that could happen here is actually if volatility shot down like this and then was able to hold up. The reason that that would be really good, especially if it took a little bit of time, is because if that 2-hour could roll back down, we could actually get a firm divergence here. We actually could see this go like that and then go like this, and then we would actually have divergence on the 30-minute, divergence on the 2-hour. If that would play out, I'd say, hey, that daily has a very high probability of turning up. Watch out for volatility. So that's what I'd be watching there, Pablo. I hope that was helpful. Sale on gold and silver. Yeah, gold, the only thing you want to watch here with gold, yes, the 2-hour is really up high. So most likely this will continue, right? Look for those reactions down to 247.50, fill some of these gaps. But for the most part, you just don't want that to extend too much, right? You start to curl down a daily, right? Once you get down to this point, you have to see, is the market wicking back up, or is this going to drop down further? You do have a flat, tiny bit down divergence there. And the big signal here, I think, is the weekly scale just climbing higher and higher. You can see that this might top out at some point. We've seen dramatic upside for some time. A pullback would be nice. So I'm not really for betting against gold right now. I don't think that that is a smart thing to do, in my opinion, but it did give you a little 30-minute in here, 2-hour turns down. That could be a pullback for gold for the time being. All right, cool. We discussed a lot this morning already. Awesome. So we're seeing this touch that 5, try to wick up. Let's go into the 30-minute again and just look at this a little bit tighter for Nvidia, see if that can turn back up into positive territory. Notice the reaction. Where did it go to? The 5. That's why it's good to have that. If you want that, just type, SMA on indicators, SMA, and then you just add the moving average simple here. And that's where you're just going to go, okay, cool. Now I add that, make sure it's printing on every single time frame. All right, so how you can do that, visibility, select every time frame. The inputs I use is 5, close, 0 offset, SMA, length 5, right, 5 on the smoothing. Time frame 1 day, so that's going to be key. And then I unclick the wait for time frame close so that it kind of updates a little bit. I think it'll update a little bit throughout the day if you notice. Now let's go look at SMH real quick, because semiconductors are going to be very, very important. Notice the curvy, wonky look here. This could all still be a handle, right? This could all still be some kind of handle. What I'd like to see from this, let's see, hourly looks wonky. 2-hour, did that turn down? Yeah, it looks really, really wonky here. So this could just be some kind of move. I'd say a break of this level of 255.80 would most likely test the high and go make a new one. That's what it seems like to me, as long as we don't get some kind of trap. But the way that Nvidia is looking, this could just be failing right now. The way that Nvidia is looking, it could just be failing, and this could be a top for Nvidia unless we see another like 30-minute curl up or something like that. Positive, happy vibes, BK. Great time. We're loving it. TLT seeing a little bit of downside again. Something to pay attention to here with TLT is a divergence here. It is outside of a weekly expected move. So we could see a snap. We could see those yields break down maybe. But this, you want to make sure it's proving this is not the best price action in the world. You do have 2-hour divergence that did not complete yet. But now you have a 30-minute here that maybe gives you a hint. Can that 30-minute complete? Then can that push the 2-hour high enough to where we end maybe closing a gap or something around 93.89? I think that would be cool. Tesla will pump big on earnings. The reason that I was talking about Tesla, if you guys paid attention, I just wanted to have some fun and bring up some random stuff with you guys. And I was like, I just think it's funny that every stock that, kind of does something with Donald Trump, well, when they start doing that thing, it only takes a couple of days and then boom, something bad happens. That's why I was talking about McDonald's. Obviously, I know people are getting sick from it. It most likely isn't tied to anything. But I was just wondering, I was like, man, I wonder if politics really come into the market for the most part. We know that Tesla used to be something that had a short seller problem. Now I think it's bought up too much to have that. But Tesla, the problem with that is if politics are a problem here, then the simplest answer is they shoot Tesla down. They don't want Tesla to perform. They don't want Elon Musk to do more things, to be able to maybe liquidate some stock, to do another petition or something like that to cause people to go vote. I think that would be interesting, but for the most part, it's just dependent on what happens with the earnings. That's why I just don't play it. It's so 50-50 that you can't really make, in my opinion, you can probably make an intelligent decision in some way, but I think you could have an argument for downside. You can have an argument for upside. So both of those, I think you could make an intelligent argument. So therefore, it's still 50-50. And I just don't think that that's something that I want to try for at this time. 2-hour crossing down, watch that for AMC. That's going to be a big deal. Watch for 2-hour divergence by the end of the week. GME already has a 2-hour trying to make the higher low. Do we have a reversal signal on the 30-minute? We do not. So if that 30-minute does cross down, that can be bad, right? And that could really be bad, okay? But if that can turn back around, create a little reversal in here, then you have a reversal signal for the 30-minute and the 2-hour, meaning the daily has a very good shot to turn up. So I will be keeping a close eye on these guys for the next couple of weeks as we're getting tighter and tighter and tighter. Mara seeing some dramatic downside. Look at the double top divergence here for the 30-minute. Okay, big steep downside, divergence all the way across, divergence all the way across. If you spread this out, there's probably triple divergence on an hourly, very clear. So this means what? Hey, if that confirms in about 8 minutes, the 2-hour can rotate down, and it already has. So 2-hour pullback, still most likely thing for Mara. That's true, Lizard. That's a good way to look at it. That makes a lot of sense too. It's like he has a lot to focus on. If he puts more energy towards this, then that means less energy towards that. And I think that's a very good way to look at it, actually. That makes a lot of sense. Like common sense, it kind of looks like it. MU, let's go look at that real quick. Just trying to bounce around, look at a bunch of stuff. For the most part, MU, got to be aware that this could be a 2-hour divergence in some way, right? Technically with the highs here, so this would be the highest point. That is your direction, okay? And now you're, coming down, right? We had another moment here, that's fine. But for the most part, that curled down and that says divergence. Can this turn down the daily scale? That's the big deal. Can that turn down? That's the signal you see before that daily turns down a lot of the time. 2-hour divergence in some way. Now, you'll notice that the 2-hour is by that center line, and we have these little levels here. So are we getting a 30-minute that says maybe this is just a cup and handle, right? We have to think of both sides. 30-minute here would suggest that if you're gonna make some kind of bounce, you probably need to do it in the next hour of the day. You need to start to bounce up from these levels. That or consolidate for a moment down here and see a reaction. But for the most part, you don't see the most clear-cut divergences here. I wish I had a weekly expected move because this is a pretty good move. 113 down to 105. But yeah, that's what I'd be looking for because then you can retake the 5, cross up a 2-hour, and we might break through. Yeah, I hope that was helpful. Now let me go look at some other stuff going on, just see if we have 30-minute that can confirm down. SPY trying to hold up, still at that move. Qs a little bit above their move as well. So still confirming it with the Qs. SPY not confirming more downside just yet. So we're still going to have to watch this today, see if that can turn back around. But for now, I think the two important ones still are going to be the Dow. You notice that's seeing some buying back up. That's a good sign so far that we can remain bullish for a little bit if that can turn back up. But just note that this is curling over the daily. So if we remain down at these levels and that daily crosses over, I won't be taking any upside plays for the Dow. Same thing could be said for IWM. IWM has to make the reversal signal in here, has to give you like a triple divergence on the 15-minute. Okay, you have to see that 15-minute go up, and then that can get you some kind of big move. It looks like we're trying to use this level in some way to create that handle. Are we going to get a more extended handle for maybe a bigger drop, right? The more liquidity we build, the bigger drop. But for now, we would just say, hey, we're still in a macro, bullish trend. As long as that remains and we can see buying here, that'd be good. Notice this. Wick at the day, wick at the weekly, wick at the weekly. So we're using it as resistance now. You got to break back through that for that to be good. Because on the daily scale, you're crossing down. That's not a good sign, especially outside of a weekly expected move. That's where some sketchy freaking things can happen, okay? Some sketchy things can happen as you're finally really, I think, making the divergence point that you were looking for. One here, cup and handle fake out. Well, not really cup and handle fake out, but this kind of ruined that. But for the most part, consolidating to break through. Everyone go in. We have a problem, and that is multiple point divergence here. So if that daily crosses, might have some weakness in momentum. All right, cool. Let's go look over at Nvidia. Still an important one is going to be Nvidia. And I have to look at my other charts for a brief moment, then I'll get back to the chat. Okay, guys? Just give me one moment. I'll get back to the chat in a sec after I go look at these charts. Let me just look through for you guys. That way we're staying updated. TLT is, ooh. TLT is currently outside of a monthly move and outside of a weekly move. Trying to form divergence. Wow, that is crazy. So TLT outside of a monthly, outside of a weekly right now. That's big. The IWM, we already went over that. The SPY still going good there. Apple, the 30-minute is trying to cross with that bar, giving you the higher or lower high. So watch out if that thing goes negative. Still have chance for cup and handle. We're holding that trend a little bit there. Tesla, not outside of a weekly, not outside of a monthly just yet. Amazon confirming the 30-minute divergence, saying the 2-hour can turn down, not outside of a weekly yet. And Nvidia showing pretty damn good weakness there. Right as we approach the weekly expected move. The weekly expected move is right above you. And the monthly expected move, you're outside of it. And you are confirming 2-hour divergence for Nvidia soon if this continues to sell off just a little bit more. Pretty much if you lose that 5 during this 2-hour bar, you're going to cross over that MACD, and that's not going to be a good sign for Nvidia. Let me leave you guys on the SPY while I look through a few others, right? See if that 30-minute can cross down. But let me go look through a few others just to see. AMD probably trying to make some 30-minute divergence. Meta had the 30-minute divergence. Meta, one thing I'm interested in is, do we create structure to head higher? For Meta, if this is reacting to a great level. This is a great reaction. We know where the resistance is very clearly. We have a gap there, we have wicks there, we have wicks there, we have wicks there, we have wicks there. So if this 30-minute does turn down, yeah, that you have to treat that like that could be bad. That could be really ugly. But if it's able to hold up, right, we don't violate this, we just do something like that, well, then that will just be this crossing up into positive territory, and you got decent structure to actually make a higher move. So that's something we'll look for from Meta going forward. Microsoft outside of a weekly expected move. No real 30-minute divergence there. Google, not outside. Gold, not outside, but 30-minute divergence is there. And then what do I need? I need Palantir. Palantir seeing a nice upward move, not able to curl back down that 30-minute. 2 hours still remaining curled up here. So the 2-hour swing trade is still there for Palantir. Interesting stuff. Very cool market today. Looks like a lot of stuff trying to confirm some big stuff down. So today's going to be a big day to pay attention. I was leaning towards, hey, you know, the way things look, I think it's like 24 hours and we'll see. Maybe earnings kind of throws a blip in there. We'll see. Oh Oh my goodness. Big stretch, big stretch, big stretch before I go. Look at the chat here. All right, I'm gonna leave my side chart up on Nvidia. And then I'm going to go read chat. What's up, chat? PCC right now holding at 0.96, so still pretty bearish there. But the dollar is scaling up, so it's not necessarily rigged behavior right now, David. You're not noticing a time where it looks like people are flying out of cash and into something. It looks more so like things look bearish, people are still selling, and we've held the insider selling signals for a long time, at least some big players flying into cash for a long time. So PCC at 0.96 doesn't mean some kind of rigged upward move can happen. More so just want to pay attention to the fact that the SPY is curling over a 30 minutes. So I don't really want to read too much in the PCC, not because it's not important, it's just because we're not necessarily seeing the signals we normally would pay attention to for a rigged move, say, to the upside. Like, are people getting bearish here? Yes. But the dollar's scaling up very, very quickly. It might be justified. So we more so just want to pay attention to signals. Let me see. We can look at, what's FAMI? Then we'll go look at maybe PayPal for a second. FAMI, a little 30-minute cross up and good things happened. But for the most part, not the best technicals here in any way. I would more so look at this from maybe investment perspective or something. If this monthly can cross up, I mean, okay, we don't have a monthly, so weekly. Weekly crossed up with divergence at the low right here, but not on a good bar the next week, not on a good bar this week, last week. Pretty good bar at 32 cents, but that's about it. Let's look at PayPal. PayPal was one. We were looking at weekly or daily divergences on this one. Was it at this low? I think it was this low. Because we have some drawings here. Yeah, the double bottom. Oh, let me do that. Double bottom here, you see how significant that is? Right there, see how significant that is on your MACD, significant on the RSI, big move up. Okay, awesome, we see the big move. Now what are we seeing to the upside? A little bit the opposite, right? You're seeing the opposite, and those divergences are starting to get more and more significant. Okay, starting to get more significant. So that would lead to this thing is running out of gas. Obviously, we can always see another 2-hour turn up. That looks like what's trying to happen now, but if that curls down, it's right by negative territory. You have bad daily signals here as well. TLT, very simply looking for 30-minute divergence and 2-hour divergence at the same time. We kind of just went over that 5 minutes ago. But it is outside of a weekly, it's outside of a monthly. So that's kind of a big deal. And then Hazel wants to see Wolf real quick. And then I'll have to take a break from looking at this stuff, guys. We got to pay attention to the market here very closely. No reversal signals here. You kind of, as a trader, would like a pullback at this level as we're breaking through. You'd like to see maybe a pullback down and then curl up, right? See that get down by the center line, then curl up. Because technically, there might be a 30-minute divergence here that said, hey, the 2-hour can bounce, and then that ended up being a good move. But we don't want to read into the past too much, right? It's kind of worthless to do that. So for now, you could have just said, hey, daily swing trade right here. Right here, it said daily swing trade is on. If you wanted to go a little before that, you would say like 462 was pretty much the point, and then boom, to the upside. So fantastic move, but you can see how we built up to here, and it would be nice if we're going to remain healthy to do something like that. Watch out for earnings, guys. Yeah, Hazel, there's no real reversal. So, I mean, if you wanted to look for a 30-minute, I'm sure you could find something. You can see how we're just doing this. You're seeing this. You're seeing this. That's kind of squeeze behavior. So that can just drop down and give it up at any time, right? It's not necessarily saying, oh, I'm going to take a play here to the downside. It's just like, hey, this is a very bullish move. It might be tapped out for a little bit. If that can curl back up, that'd be a good thing. If it's more of a curl down than the 2-hour curls back up, that can be a good thing. So I don't think you're seeing, are you seeing like double top weekly signals? You are seeing some weekly signals if the weekly starts to give this up. So what this would mean for me is If the daily starts to confirm down, if the weekly starts to confirm down, that's going to be the big one though, the weekly. If the weekly can confirm down here, then you might have a little divergence in here right now. So just watch the weekly and the macro, like the bigger scale time frames there. And I don't think there's really the best opportunity for a trade setup just yet. Don't want to read too much into that. Nvidia down 3% now. This is why we want to pay attention. Now you got this 2 hour that is confirming. You have an hour and a half left in the bar. We are, let me go double check, but I'm pretty sure we're nowhere near a week. Yeah, we're not even close to a weekly expected move with this, the downward move, right? The top side move is right above you. We didn't make it there, but we formed the signal. We're outside of a monthly. Most likely thing is to land back in that zone. 68%. So we do have the reversal signal. These are the plays that I really, really enjoy. These are plays that we should be paying close attention to. For the most part, though, you could go a whole nother 10 points lower from here. Literally. What is this shooting thing going on? Let me read into something here. Oh, nothing really going there. Just seeing some news, seeing if anything's coming out. I noticed that bricks. A lot of people talking about bricks right now. Let's go see. Yeah, nothing really being too reported there. Let's see this. See if there's any news that we can find here. I know the McDonald's news is big. Israel airstrike kills Hezbollah leaders and 25 others. That seems to be one thing that happened. That was reported about 17 hours ago. Biden calls to politically lock up Trump. That was 15 hours ago. That seems to be a charge for Iranian officials charged for plot to assassinate Iranian American journalist Masih Alinejad in New York. I think the big one is Israel did strike back. We'll see if that is affecting the market in any way, as we don't know the exact reason just yet. Yeah, did we get some news with some data? Mortgage applications still down a little bit. Sorry, guys. Existing home sales down 1%. And some crude oil stuff comes out in a little bit, but that's about it over there. Nvidia still dropping, down 3.38% at this moment. Amazon, as of right now, confirming down on the 2 hour, confirming 2 hour divergence for Amazon in about an hour and 20 minutes. So in an hour and 20 minutes, we'll get a good inclination if this stuff is going to confirm. Dollar, when is this thing going to tap out? My goodness, it just keeps going. The Dow is trying to do it, all right? The Dow is trying to do this right now. Just want you to notice the Dow, which I don't know why that's not popping up on my charts. There you go. The Dow, if it confirms this 15-minute signal, you have a shot. Just notice that selling's piling on. I'm being cautious with any kind of upside play here, right? The times where I'm not cautious with upside plays, right? The times where I'm not cautious with upside plays are here and here, right? This level here, this level here, but we're seeing this signal and this signal pretty much right here. So kind of like we did in here, but even worse, I think, here, because you have a 2-hour divergence. So the times to be careful with upside is when you're at upside. The times to be careful with downside is when you're at downside, right? So we need to be careful with upside plays is what this overall take is. Once again, IWM going to be a big one. See if that can curl back up into positive territory for the 15-minute, and DIA. Those are two that can give a pretty good hint if they react before, say, the SPY or the Qs, or the SPY not really dropping down to lower levels, right? So is this going to be able to buy back up? Notice that we did hit the daily expected move in our zone. We have to lose that. We really have to lose that in order to see downside. We are curling down the MACD. We'll see if that pops up for us. You are making another point of divergence, it looks like. Yeah, still it could be another point of divergence. So just if that 15-minute rotates back up, it's going to be a big deal. Holy crap, my volume is way up there. Primside, thank you so much for joining us today. Yeah, inventories are going up. I think if we didn't have the hurricane problem, well, obviously the hurricane, if we didn't have that, we might not have had as much, we would have had even more inventory out there for the housing market. You just sent me an email, let me see. I'll see if I can answer it. I can't answer every single one. Can view and watch your videos under primarily. Appreciate it. Yeah, we'll see if we can set something up. It's just about if I have time. Today's kind of a crazy day. We do have, like, they're coming to check all of the, pretty much everything in our place. So that's why I might have to hop off at 9:30 because they're checking everything to make sure everything's good, and I think that's fantastic. I'm always down with that. But I'll see if I have time. I'll at least respond to the email and see if we can set something up there. Maybe you can give me a little more info. Volatility. 30-minute, can that confirm back down? Some of the weekly moves would suggest that IWM and the Dow have a higher probability to hold up, all right? That's what they would suggest. They most of the time would say nothing crazy is going to happen. So is this going to go up? That's the big deal. If this confirms down on the daily, that's where things get a little scary. We are below that 5. We're below all of this right now. Qs, they went to the daily, they went through the daily expected move, touched a key level. And we'll see, we're building a ton in here, man. Whatever way this thing decides to go, you're building a lot of price action in here, a lot of liquidity being built. Liquidity. Okay, and here we go from TLT. Since someone was asking about TLT, and I think it's a good signal to pay attention to, look at this 15-minute. I know that the 30-minute is the main one I want to watch, but if that's going to reject, I want to know. So if it's going to reject, that 15-minute signal is going to be the one. And you're outside of a monthly, you're outside of a weekly, so we can react up. At least a reaction back up to test something like 92.50 would make sense. Some reaction to test these levels in here would make sense. If you can break through that, start to confirm up some bigger time frames, right? Get an hourly to turn back up, that would be a good sign. If you get a 2-hour to curl back up, that would be fantastic because you have divergence on a 2-hour as well, meaning this could be a daily cross up soon. Where's that daily sitting? Daily is very, very low, but the last time it was low, it saw some great stuff. So let's see if this time that it's low, it can see some great stuff, but we have to be aware of the positioning of the MACD. Something talked about in the swing trading course is very low. So a lower high is a little bit more likely here, some kind of lower high. But if you can create good structure, right, react up to this level of 95.50, curl back down, maybe test that 200 and get back up, well, you could have some structure in here in some way. Just watch, the SPY is curling down. This is why today's important as well. Just remember, every once in a while throughout the day, like maybe, you know, set an alarm for 2 o'clock or something like that and just have it say, check the daily. Because if the daily is crossing down by the end of the day, that's not a good sign. So that's why today is going to be very important. That's a very bad sign if that daily does cross. We can still hold up with that, right? We see wonkiness all the time where that flips back and forth, but for the most part, that's what we're looking for. We want that momentum to say this should head down. Volatility is down by the center line. So if that takes off here, I think it'll be a big move. The Dow is crossing. The Qs already are crossed, right? Or crossed again. Sorry, I forgot they went back up, but crossed again. So that's why today is going to be important. Apple, not close. Nvidia, not close. Amazon, very close, right? With 2-hour signals in here. So Nvidia, that one's got a little bit more time. Meta already did it. We'll see if that can pull back to the upside or bounce. Microsoft, you're noticing very high up, getting a inverse hammer here. Not really an inverse hammer, but a hammer here. And so this can be a reversal signal in some way. The main thing we want to look into, though, is just like, hey, the 30 minutes pretty cooked. We're outside of a weekly expected move. Doesn't have the best, I would say, setup for a big move down, but it does have a setup for a 30-minute pullback according to the weekly expected moves. So I'm going to put on my charts, I need at least a watch. And yeah, TLT is seeing a reaction from that low. Yeah, it is seeing a reaction from that low right now. It went like, how far out of the monthly was that? Ooh, pretty far out of the monthly there. So it could experience a good move going into next week. But I still want to just pull up. Is this going to load? All right, there we go. Did I disconnect for a sec? So 50-minute for DIA going to be important, and IWM. And Robert, I'll get to you, or Arobi, get to it in a little bit after the stream. Just join, what's the T? The T is, if we look at the bigger scale, you're getting a lot of things to cross over on the daily, which tells you today you need things to hold up. So what we're really looking at, what I have on my other screen, is the DIA and IWM. Those are both down by their weekly expected moves, and they have almost 15-minute divergence or triple divergence in some way. Those are the only signals I can find that would say, hey, this is how we would bounce higher. This is how we save ourselves today. That's the main T that's going on. The other T is Nvidia confirming soon. We'll see if this is able to, but that's a 2-hour divergence saying, hey, the daily's about to turn down. Okay, so this is why we're paying attention to this. It's outside of a monthly. We've used this signal 3 times. This would be the 4th. So we're seeing, because since August, this signal has worked 3 for 3. It's not going to work all the time. It's just the last few times we've seen it, it's worked. Okay. And we've mentioned it on this channel if you go look at those points, right? So what we want to see here is this going to work again? Because right now I think you might have reacted to, where is that monthly expected move? Let me go look at that too, by the way. I'm gonna pull up Nvidia for a sec. I always forget because I look at so many charts. Yeah, you're still above that monthly expected move right there. So you have further down to drop to even get back in that monthly expected move. And by the time you're getting into that monthly expected move, you're probably going to be on the edge of crossing over a daily chart. So this is suggesting with how Nvidia looks, I'm not going to say crash. I'm going to more say the daily looks like it needs a pullback. If the weekly can roll over, then that is where I really want to pay attention, because that means weeklies for the SPY, weeklies for the Qs, all these big ones might be turning down as well. But if Nvidia is going to save the market in some way, then we might just get a daily pullback, something a little dramatic, and then see that thing swing back up. So we'll watch it for you. Volatility now up 3%, confirming the 2-hour, just a higher low. Not necessarily like, I wouldn't necessarily call it specific divergence because we didn't come below this point. But you do have that trying to take back the 5 right now. The daily is by the center line. So if that takes off here, this could be the start of something. You notice we've really pulled back with time. So if we are going to read into the Dow, if we are going to read into IWM, and that's able to push stocks higher in this 2-hour crosses, we should expect positivity. but will that last? That's what we're going to really look for in the future. You guys heard my take. I just gave my personal opinion. I don't do it all the time, but a lot of the time I like to say, you know, this is my opinion of what will happen. If I'm wrong, that's perfectly fine because I'm a good trader, right? That's how I say things. But for the most part, if this 2 hour curls up, I think that that will be one of the last pushes higher, and then we'll actually see this thing fall down. I think things are on a knife's edge. The dollar's just screaming higher, man. I mean, that thing just keeps going. There's like no real big pullbacks inside. Like maybe this was a big one if you want to consider that, but look at this. It's just reacting to the 5. So a little bit worried about these things. So that's why I keep a close eye on this guy. If we keep remaining down in this area, you're getting rid of the divergence point again, right? If we can make a 30-minute, that would be better. So if we can hang out down here and really create that 30-minute, you see it popping up here. That's what I more want to see. And then see that 30-minute turn back up. That would mean, hey, we actually can see this 2 hour turn up. 2 hour could go into positive territory. So then if you get a 30-minute divergence here, you can take out this high and make a new one. You just want to look if that's failing, right, on the 30-minute, if it just goes like this and fails. So you have to do it today. You're getting a daily crossover in the MACD. You have to do something today, or else you're risking a lot of probability saying, hey, you could see downside and you're outside of a weekly expected move at that point. That's where things really pile on, right? That's where selling begets more selling begets more selling. So you don't want that area touched. Or you don't want that area broken, is more how you talk about it. All right, back in. Netflix, so yeah, let's go look at Netflix. I think that was interesting. Where the heck is my Netflix? There it is. That was more interesting on the daily scale. You're seeing a rapid move up, which is taking you to kind of, you know, go even with all these highs, a little bit above it actually. So this could be the start of another trend, right? That gets tight and then see something. But for the most part, for something like Netflix, you would still say on the RSI, are we holding that point? Yes, and we're starting to turn down. So that can mean weaknesses here. It would still lean you towards a pullback for Netflix. We can look at it on a weekly and just see, hey, that turned up. We're creating another point of divergence. So you see how we can hold up with another turn up on the daily. But if that's too much and we start turning down these weekly signals, that looks more probable for downside. More probable for downside there if we curl down some weekly charts. So macro is going to be important going forward. In the shorter time frames, you're just saying, hey, 30-minute curls up into positive territory. We can see a positive move. That's more what you're looking for there. There's not really reversal signals in this at all, though, on the shorter time frames. SPY starting to drop a little bit lower now. Now we're going into unexpected areas. Remember, we built this little zone because we gapped above this area, right? This is where we kind of retested. We came down to that level again. So I like this little box. If we can break that, use that as resistance, we could see something crazy for the SPY as well as the daily is crossing down. Really right about the dollar and such, and what I want to talk to you about is related. Okay, yeah, we can see if we can set up something. I haven't used my Discord since I was like a comedic streamer. Or I used to play. Anyone else play Among Us back in the day with their friends, even though we're adults? It's so fun. Jari, I hope you got a good insight into kind of what we're paying attention to here. Today is very important. And you're setting up a 30-minute divergence here actually for the SPY. So this is one to pay attention to. Do we see that forming here for the VIX at the same time? Not necessarily. So that could just be some kind of hiccup. I think if you get a 30-minute divergence here, I would personally like it. I would like that. I think you would get a great price if that would happen, and you'd have a 30-minute and a 2-hour divergence at the same time. You want me to start? I mean, we can talk about it at times when it's like more important. It's just for the most part, at least from what I see, do a lot of people pay attention to IWM? From what I've seen, a lot of people don't necessarily pay too close attention to IWM, but we try to bring it up or show signals that we see as good. Most likely, we did talk about it for a brief moment yesterday, just showing what we were looking for intraday, why it's good to pay attention to, even more than what we pay attention to every day in those videos. But we do have a weekly range there for a reason. Yeah, rate cuts can help out IWM. And you want to look at rate cuts as well. I mean, if you go through bad times, most likely IWM still suffers, right? I don't know why that would happen, right, Nyson? I mean, you have little divergence points in here. It's going to be clearer on the 15, but I don't trust 15-minute divergences all the time, but you could see something here. That's probably enough to roll over this 2-hour. You do see some points of weakness here. I mean, the actual top of this is that bar, so are you divergence? Not the best divergence in the world for the 2-hour, but it is pretty significant, so maybe you can just pay attention to that rollover. More so just seeing, can that lose the 5? Can it roll over on a 2? And is this going to be a pullback, or is this going to be something a little bit more dramatic? So let's look at the daily scale. It could be a daily pullback that's about to form here. You've seen upside for a very, very long time, but it is interesting to see. Some things aren't working in tandem, right? Microsoft is still up while everything else is red. So that's very interesting. One thing I was looking at, by the way, was XLU. Notice XLU confirming divergence at this level, still looking kind of flaggy, like it might want to make one more move up. See that 2-hour by the center line, still kind of like, hey, am I a cup and handle? So if this heads higher, that would add to more of the inclination that we could actually see things base out a little bit today. All right, now you have a 30-minute divergence. Not necessarily with this point though. So it's not on the MACD and RSI at the same time. I know you have one right here, but this one's not at the same time as what you're seeing right now. So that's interesting. I'd probably just say still, if that 30-minute can rotate up, we can see something decent. Maybe a 2-hour curl up does happen. Is the Dow confirming it on the hourly? I think it is trying to. I just think you might have a little bit more time. Right, head and shoulders, guys. Head and shoulders is one of the most common things you'll see in the market. So it doesn't play out all the time, obviously. I mean, most of the time, head and shoulders are probably some of the most trappy trades that people can take because everyone knows about head and shoulders. So we gravitate to those levels a lot. So you want to see this. If this 30-minute curls up, you have a good shot to turn up the 2-hour, okay? So one thing you want to look for, 30-minute turns up, okay, awesome. Is that seeing good positivity throughout the day today? It has to see it today. The reason it has to see it today is because the daily is crossing. You do not want that to happen, okay? So if that's not going to cross, then that 30-minute needs to buy this thing back up, get it kind of even so that we can remain still okay here. I would not like the Dow for an upside play if that would happen. It looks like it's trying to confirm what you're talking about, the head and shoulders, right? It's trying to, but it didn't get that clean break. If we would have got that clean break, we just break down, go into liquidity, right? We go down into here, we just see a big break, and then we retest back up, and then you can see, is this taking it back, or is this confirming another downward move? Right? That's what you want to see from a head and shoulders. Right now, you're holding up at the area that you really want to break through cleanly. So it's a little sketch there. SPY just jumped $1, and there you go. So we'll see if that is able to pop back up. You do have a divergence point here. Would be rather flat. Yeah, this is why we have daily expected moves, to give us that hint. Best support and resistance you can find out there are going to be weekly, in my opinion, weeklies and stuff like that for trade setups and resistance support. So highly encourage, if you're not using them right now on whatever stock you're doing, take the course to figure out how you can create those ranges. And if you are just paying attention to a stock that we pay attention to here on this channel, then you can just join the Patreon. It'll be very helpful for you to have those. It can really it can entirely change your trading. IWM falling knife, 0.51. I just want you to notice the rejection diverge is still possible here. And this one is more one that you can look at on the 15, right? We can more look at this one on the 15. We see the very clear divergence points here. If that crosses, yeah, that can be good. It doesn't mean it has to be, guys, right? But it means I can take a chance. That's why we just talk about when we say things like that, by the way, it doesn't have to be good. It just means it's probable to be good, but does it have to be good? No, that's just more leaning towards me saying, make sure you know how to manage trades. That's what that statement overall means. Because if this sees a little bit of positivity, but that daily still rolls over, you're still in a bad spot on the daily scale right now if that rolls over. Yeah, it looks like it doesn't want to break that 219 level, huh? Let's go look at the SPY just for a little bit here. I'll leave it on a 15. I think it's fun to see the bars move a little bit more. Whole market about to drop. And why is that? Well, it's because this guy, Nvidia, actually able to. Now notice this, Nvidia was where? Well, it's at that 5-day, right? And the 30-minute starting to get by that center line. So if we're gonna catch a bounce here, this is where it kind of has to happen. I would more so say it needs to happen in the next hour. So I'd really be watching Nvidia in the next hour, right? I do have a bunch of stocks open on my other screen. But I actually think the Dow's given us some great little hints. And I like that look. Look at the wicks at the weekly, perfect stuff. Love it. You're like, okay, look at this. Okay, boom. This says, boom, short. Okay, awesome. Then this goes like this, and you go, oh, if that crosses long, that's kind of nice. I mean, the thing is, like, if you guys, I mean, it's not the most intellectual thing to say, but I just watch the technicals. I believe in the technicals, and I know how to manage trades. So I know when to find those points of weakness too short. I know that shorting is more difficult, so I know how to manage my trade. And then I really look for whenever I see bullish signals. So even though some people come in here and they think I'm a perma bear, it's like, well, sometimes I get really, really, really bullish, like when I saw the opposite of what we're seeing for Nvidia right now. Very bullish right there, right? I'm very bullish with my position size and that kind of thing. Because that's an easier trade. Bullish trades are just easier. It's just how the market works. We're in a fake system that holds markets up higher, so it's going to be easier to see things go higher. Well, what's happening with Nvidia is you're still working things out, right? You're still working out, is this going to fully cross down in the next 2 hours, right? Just taking it right away, that's a decision you can make, but that still has to confirm. And then that can take, that can take another 2 days to fully be able to build liquidity and play out, right? And then that could take another week to see the daily pullback, you know, or 2 weeks. You just want to be able to manage trades in here, but that's why we use longer out positions. Notice we're not crossing over that 2 hour anymore. IonQ, my dad, this is my dad's stock. I love looking at this now. I think he sold out at like $13 or something like that, but great move from IonQ. Great move. Not a lot of technicals to do here still. It's just screaming higher. It's just screaming higher. You could maybe say like, oh, weekly crossed up, and that's probably good, but look at that, it's starting to get overbought on the weekly. Once you start to hit these levels, a little bit worrisome. Monthly just crossed up, so it's still suggesting like, hey, this could be a great thing. This technically is a higher low on the monthly scale, so maybe that's an ABC and you end up going up towards $24, but that's really all you can do with it at this point. This is the setup, so let's just watch this guy. Well, I can't really tell you exactly what to do with your money, but I can say that the last time we saw this signal, you know, the last 3 times we saw it, Nvidia ended up seeing the move that was supposed to happen with the signal. So right now you're seeing the signal that says, hey, this can get a little bit bearish. There's earnings around, so you always got to be careful around earnings. But for the most part, I would say if I'm ever like stressing myself, should I sell, I'm just trying to figure out something to do, right? I'm trying to figure out, is this a good time to be in this? I don't know how long you're in it. I don't know anything about your trade, so it's very difficult for me to say. Most of the time, I'm just saying this. I see a signal that says, hey, we have a 68% chance to at least land down by something like 130 before October is over. Does that mean the signal has to fully play out? No. Does that mean I'm shorting Nvidia? Maybe. You know what I mean? But it can always just curl back up. That's why managing trades is very important. So for Nvidia, you have a reversal signal. It's not even confirming, I think, at this moment. See, it's unconfirmed, so it doesn't even have to happen. But if it does confirm, then we would want to read into it and just be like, okay, well, where's our zones? All right, that's where it could land below by the end of the month, that kind of deal. So it's like, if you're happy with the profit you've made to this level and you're asking the question of, should I sell to someone? I just really ask yourself, you know, do you like the amount of money you made in the trade? Do you see on a daily chart that this thing's going to scream higher for the next 3 weeks? You know? Yeah, Joe. Maybe. Just, might do it. Because Apple's still holding relatively well for what's happening across the board. If that 30-minute can turn back up, you're still building up in this area. Some, I remember talking about island reversal here. We almost had it. Actually, you kind of do still at this point. You haven't filled the gap, so you kind of still have it at this point if you would just keep reversing, though, from here. All right, the main signals, though, 30 minutes on the SPY. 30 minutes, let's see the Qs. No, so the Qs don't look as good. I think the best signals are IWM and the Dow. Those look like the best ones to me if we're going to head up. The 10 year's going bonkers. Yeah, it is. But just quick note, I know 10 years going bonkers. You still could have a rejection, 30-minute divergence here. You have TLT outside of a monthly, outside of a weekly. I think people are, the way that I read into this is I think people are trying to guess what the Fed is going, if the Fed is actually going to cut in November. That's what I kind of think. I think that's what's trying to happen. I think people are, I think bond traders are saying they cannot cut. They cannot cut. These yields have to go higher. Inflation is going to come back even worse, blah, 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 blah. Right? That's what I think is happening here. But for the most part, we just take this, we go like this, we draw a little line maybe, we go look at this, we go like this, we draw a little line maybe. You're in pretty much a little channel here. So you gotta break through that, because if you remain in that channel, well, you're probably gonna keep heading down. 10-year we can look into, by the way. We can see that there's probably a bunch of 2-hour divergence now, right? We might be making one at the top here. So this could be a moment to really pay attention. See the 4-hour, making a divergence point there. You see the daily maybe making it, right? Nope, daily not really making it. So this says, hey, these yields can pull back on a daily scale if we get some news behind it, right? Or else they're just gonna keep going, kind of like the dollar. Yeah, and it would be healthy to pull back. It would be very good for Nvidia to pull back on a daily scale, go retest 127.74, go test 125, or even go into our zone, get a full retest of the breakout, and then we'll see what happens. Yeah. All right, let's get on this on a 30-minute. Still just getting some big gap down, and now we're just sitting down there, but we do not want to go below this level, it looks like. One wick. John Wick. Aren't they making another John Wick or something right now? I didn't even watch the last one, I don't think. And just to help us with the SPY, that's why I'm looking at the DIA, by the way, is to help me a little bit with the SPY. It could. This time he fights the multiverse. Oh god, and like Spider-Man shows up and stuff. Boeing. Didn't Boeing have like good reversal signals? Yeah, it did. Boeing's the one that had the little rejection divergence down here at the low, seeing a reaction up. Looking at this from a weekly scale, look at that right there, you got a weekly divergence. So if that weekly were to turn up, it actually would say that Boeing could have up to maybe even, I would say anywhere from 4 to, I would say 2 months. It could see 2 months of upside with that. So then you got to see, is the monthly scale turning up? Because if the monthly scale turns up, it says, hey, this could be a good investment for maybe 12 to 18 or 24 months. So weekly divergences here, haven't confirmed it yet. That's the main signal I'm watching for Boeing, for that to see upside. Palantir with a good move here, 2-hour cross up, huh? See if it can test the high, go make a new one. 49 minutes left in the bar. Pretty solid. Right, Vince? Like, right, really, like at a time like this, it is good to spread things out and be like, okay, is this really a good play for a long time? You know, something that's beat up like that. So I think it's cool. This here, 2-hour, just watch for the 2-hour to turn up for Bitcoin if that's going to happen. Right now, we are retesting the breakdown area. We're kind of remaining close enough that we want to be aware if that turns back up. You're almost having a divergence here, but it's not there, but you're so close to having it that it would make sense if that turned up. But the big guys, Amazon, you don't want that to confirm down. You don't want this to confirm. This is the main one, Nvidia and the Dow. So Nvidia is going to say, hey, if things are heading down, I'm going to cross down. If things are going to head back up, well then this 30 minutes probably going to cross back up for the Dow. DIA is just the ETF we're using so we can have a weekly expected move. Look at the wicks. You guys, who likes weekly expected moves? I am a perma making money. Let's freaking go, Jackal. Let's go, dude. Oh, God. I'm down. Dude, I don't even care. Make another upward move. Give me another point of divergence. Give me another scaling opportunity for my position. I'm freaking down, dude. The more you go up, the harder you're going to go down, Mr. Market. PCC still relatively high. Dollar still growing. 0.42 again. We've seen almost like back-to-back-to-back days of just 0.42, 0.5, 0.42, 0.5. Crazy. HGX, looking at this, now we're catching some kind of bounce. Just note that this is still a very, very bad signal. Okay. This is still a very, very bad signal. We can go retest stuff in the shorter time frames, get a big retest of like a broken breakdown area or something like that, but that is a very bad signal. See if TLT is catching that little rejection bounce here. Not quite. And still paying attention to this. And do I want to do something with this? Probably not. Shaking my head too, Scott. No, SMH. The SMH is still going to be more along the lines of what does Nvidia do? If Nvidia starts to go down dramatically, right? If Nvidia crosses on the 2-hour, then crosses its daily, SMH is going to suffer. Because SMH is being held up right now by Nvidia. It's still a little bit down from those highs. But that's just because Nvidia is a giant right now. Who's buying the SPY to push it up? Most likely market makers. How much money does it take to buy it up? Well, it depends on whose money. If it's retailers posting option trades, then it's going to take a lot. If it's the market maker gained liquidity and they just want to shoot the price higher and cause this little number you see on your screen to be higher than the market maker. It costs the market maker a lot less, I would say, because they know the perfect time to spike it to change that algorithm around. And guess what? We know those levels too, PCs. We know those levels too. It's right here. I was thinking about it, but I'm still waiting. I know that there's some fooling around that can happen. We're at the 5, not fully losing that. 30-minute could just go like this for a brief moment, give me another opportunity later. I'm looking for if this 2-hour actually confirms, because that's the signal we mainly have been paying attention to. I'm thinking about it, but I want to see if that fully prints, because I don't want us to buy more time. The reason that I'm seeing if this can print first, right, if this can confirm first, for the most part, even with the 30-minute signal in here, didn't take it, looking for if that can actually move down here, is because of this look from DIA. And the SPY kind of has a 30-minute divergence as well. So if that has divergence here, that means the 2-hour can see that next move. So remember I was saying, hey, I'm leaning towards the top, could be right now, or maybe we see one more 2-hour move and then people get trapped to the upside. So this is kind of, this signal right here, if it were to confirm, is more leaning towards, hey, another 2-hour move higher. Which would mean, hey, Nvidia can't cross down just yet, right? Because if the market's gonna hold up, then Nvidia's gonna hold up. Right? And if Nvidia holds up, the market's gonna hold up. They work directly together. It's just Nvidia's too big of a stock right now. It's too big. So it means everything. Now we're seeing some positivity there. Let's go check on IWM as well, because those yields could be topping out. We'll see if IWM, not really. IWM, sorry, bud. You're still holding the divergence point, but my goodness, you're rejecting off that weekly a lot. Yeah, Hussein, I'm just kind of telling you how I'm looking into it. I just want to see, is the Dow going to bounce? Is the SPY going to bounce here? And is that going to lead me into, hey, if the market's going to hold up, what's the biggest stock in the market? Well, it's Nvidia. Okay, cool. So if if the market's going to hold up, then most likely the biggest stock holds up. Because if the biggest stock goes down, then why would these indices hold up at that point? People are still making groups and pages on Facebook. I gotta get rid of that. Just trying to look for this group posted anything. I might go look at some news here. Yeah, big spike down. Even in the best area for cup and handle necessarily, but I guess we could make that handle now on a 15. Would still make some sense. Oof. So you might be giving it up too. IWM just not seeing any positivity just yet. One quick note, okay, as this is developing, we see a reversal signal. What else do we see? Well, if we're paying attention a little bit to volatility, you're just going to notice that the 30-minute could cross here. Remember, this is something good to look for, right? We cross down, maybe retest that 50 again. We see this. The good part about this is, oh, I got a little 30-minute, so that can see a little move. But behind that 30-minute, if that does cross back up, if all that forms, well, then we might have a 2-hour divergence as well. If we do something like this, fill that gap, and then we see that turn back around, that confirms on a 2. Now you're going, ooh, the daily for volatility can cross up. So I can hold on to this a little bit longer if that shows up. So that's why I'm kind of inviting it. I'm like, yeah, shoot the market higher one more time, because if we form all that, it's going to be a massive trap. I'm down. And I could take an upside play for now if I want. Not really thinking about it though. Just seems too sketchy. If that daily cross by the end of the day, right? This hasn't proven, so. Okay, TLT, as this is down outside of a weekly, outside of a monthly, remember we were talking about yields. When yields come down, sometimes IWM does well. Look at TLT. TLT getting the rejection now. I could probably even read into a little bit of the 15 just because it's so close to positive territory and we're out of that weekly expected move. Remember, we can use that weekly expected move as resistance now, but that is saying if that crosses up, we got a good shot to land back in that zone by the end of the week. Watch out for the 5-day. So 30-minute rejection divergence is popping up here. So those yields might have to start coming down. Some reversal signals at the same time on the 30-minute. I don't like 30 minutes too much for looking at yields, but it's there. More of a 2-hour pullback could happen for yields. So we'll see if TLT has something to say about that. Volatility started to go green just a little bit there, by the way. But you see the SPY, it wants to do it. It wants to. We'll see if it can. The Dow, it wants to. For a second, it keeps wicking up above the weekly. But if we just cross on that daily and we lose this, it could mean something big happens tomorrow. So today's going to be important. Do we buy more time into Friday close? That's what this signal is inviting. Oh, God. Hey, that's good. Well, I'm glad that's happening for you, Davian. That's always a rough time. Stops overall a good thing, right? But I'm a true believer that they can see your stops, and so I just manage trades like manually, if you will. I just pretty much figured out a way for me to manage trades on my own, and I do teach people that method in the courses down in the description. Remember, guys, that's going away at after November, so that will be gone, all right? So make sure you grab those if you want to learn how to swing trade and learn how to trade with more of an options strategy, learn how to trade around these weekly expected moves, learn about the MACD, all that good stuff, indicators, all that. Get the indicators on your charts and things like that. You can get all that down in the description and learn how to manage trades for just, if you get both courses, $150 right now. It's crazy. 90% off. Most likely not going back down to that price point ever again, except maybe for a Christmas surprise. Okay? It's just a little flash thing for Christmas, maybe. But I want people to be focusing on using money for family and things you guys might need, so. BA just tanked. Uh-oh, that's why I wait for the weekly signal too. Because the only real good signal you had here was you had daily rejection divergence here. Okay, boom to the upside, see the 50. Now you're like, okay, this might need to consolidate and then break through for the Bollinger Band to exceed that. And then we see no 2-hour divergence actually. So that, wow, Boeing is wrecked. What the heck happened with this guy? Weekly never confirmed up. That's the good signal. Aren't you so sweet? No, for some reason, after I whispered on my birthday in the mic yesterday, I was like, I like whispering. For the most part, though, weekly never turned up here. So when something's down this far, you want to see a macro signal. The shorter time frames just aren't going to be your friend when this stuff's happening. Like 2-hour. Oh, God. Don't make it weird. That's a bad move with earnings, right? Is that with earnings today? Yeah, earnings today, starting to get some distribution, it looks like. And now, ooh, that's not a good look now. Well, you're still holding it, actually. Oof, that is not adding a little bit more to can we head higher, right? We want to see if this confirms. It's not doing it now. Now, if it takes its time and it does it at the end of the day, we might be able to see 2 days of positivity. A 2-hour cross-up can take like 8 hours. Or, I mean, 8 bars, so a couple of days. People actually slightly coming out of the put side, trying to go into calls. Interesting. As volatility starts to just turn right back up. IWM, still nothing. Still has the divergence point. Notice that. Just really watch that RSI. See if that's violated. Because if that gets violated, then we can see a bounce. But it might just be a lower high again. SPY starting to turn down. Q's starting to keep turning down. And Q's have a reversal signal here. little one. It's very wonky. 2 hour confirming down again for the Qs. Man, bad stuff. Nvidia still has about 35 minutes. We're going to stick to the live show. I'm not getting interrupted. Nobody's telling me I have to get off yet, so I'm going to try to stay on to see how this 2 hour bar completes. So 35 more minutes. Spy like a teen at prom. Rejected. I asked a girl to prom by saying I bought a pack of icebreakers and I had no idea who she was because I just broke up with my girlfriend, so I had no one to go with. So I went to a random girl's house who was a friend of a friend and said, hey, I handed her some icebreakers and I said, prom would be a good way to break the ice. Actually, I think I had a note in there in the icebreakers because I was nervous to talk. It worked. It worked. So yeah, we're just gonna sit and see if this is going to happen. Obviously, if we're gonna go the other direction, 30-minute curl up, right? This was just a test of the 5. We might have bought a little bit of time, but if we go higher from here, note the weekly expected move somewhere up there. If we do that, that's not gonna be a good sign. 60%. What is this? Anchor? What is that? The Anchor or whatever? God, what a good movie. Wow, what a move from Boeing. I gotta check on that again. Is that still happening? Okay, we wicked a little bit there. We filled a gap. You're such a geek. Yes, I am. I'm like a cool geek. I think geeks are cool. Oh, I say nerds are cool now. I hope my daughter marries a nerd. Like, you guys don't understand. Late at night, people probably do all kinds of cool stuff. I watch like full documentaries on bugs. I convinced my wife last night that there was such thing as the Australian cow. And instead of saying moo, they say ner. Duke, thank you so much for joining us today. Really appreciate you joining the channel. Please welcome Duke into the chat. Say hi to him, guys, okay? Last night on the super volcano between Yellowstone. See, that's what I'm talking about, Corey. That sounds like some good stuff. Yeah, an hour later, I told her, yeah, I made that stuff about the Australian cow up, and she was like, it was so convincing. Because we make fun of Australians. No offense if you're Australian. I love my Australian soccer teammates. They're great people. But when they say no, they say ner. That we watched the Love Island once, and there was a girl named Lucinda, but they say Lucinda. Why couldn't the toilet paper cross the road? I want to be like, got stuck in a crack. Oh, that's great. The only thing I could think of was like, it's not a big enough roll. But that wasn't funny at all. Palantir, what are you doing? Palantir trying to curl up, give us that 2 hour signal. It's giving it. It's just not looking the best. Which is funny, because this kind of looks like this to me. Like this wonkiness. Even though the keys look a little different, it kind of looks like this to me. Doesn't it? It kind of looks like this over on Palantir. Dad jokes. See any diversion going up for the Dow? Yeah, the Dow does have divergence here on the 30-minute forming, not complete, not confirmed, right? And we're getting another maybe wick up from that weekly expected move. That is some little bit of buying pressure. So what we just want to see is, does this prove itself? Does it cross up? Because then that can shoot you a little bit higher. Always got to watch out for retest of the 5, right? Retest of the 5, see if that rejects. What we want to see here is this 30-minute going to move enough to unconfirm the daily? And is that daily going to confirm on a negative bar? All of those things will lead us to believe, hey, which time frame am I going to trust more? The daily or a 30-minute? They did? Hey, that's pretty cool, Pablo. I haven't been to an MLS game in a long time, though. Sold my Palantir profit to put in Nvidia, and it's working so far. Hey, that's good. I always hope that everyone's trades are going well. Even if you're taking something different from me, you have a different opinion, I do not wish bad on you. Sorry guys, got interrupted for a sec. Still should be okay. They just might have to check a fire alarm down here in my office. I think we should be okay with that. Spy is on the edge of not glory. It's gonna pull back, give opportunity for you. You don't like it? Other teams might deserve it more. I haven't followed it enough to really tell. I do know that the KC, if you guys ever have a chance, I know that, you know, Kansas is kind of a random place to go for probably a lot of people out there, but the, what is it? The Sporting KC Stadium is very, very nice. I love going to games there. There is not a bad seat in the house. It is so fun. They have like 3 bars in there. It's so cool. Yeah, and that's how we want to look at it. If it's a pullback, we should see it as an opportunity. If it's a crash, then we make money off of it. That's fine. If it goes into a bear market, we can see that as an opportunity as well, right? Ten-year triggered the alert at 425, then starts to come down. We'll see. TLT is giving you some signals here that says, hey, it's trying. But you need to see a different pattern than this. You need to see a different type of buying. You need to see stronger buying. Right now, you're kind of doing this. You really want to see that start to go up, right? We want to see some good bars here to really confirm that with some strength. Because as you keep this, you always invite the fact that you could be flagging. And that's not a good thing, especially as you're outside of those ranges. Yeah, it can turn back up, right? 15-minute might be something to watch there. But if it just doesn't ever do that, it can keep heading down. That's not a good thing. Volatility trying to come back. Volatility not spiking very hard compared to yesterday. Very interesting. Oh, you go to Derby? Okay, cool. So you're, I mean, not too far away. Derby's not far. My best friend in high school lived in Derby. And he's still one of my best friends today. We have kids that are like exactly the same age. His kid came 2 weeks after mine or 3 weeks after mine. Oh, the timber or whatever it is. Portland's where they like chainsaw wood during the game or something sometimes, right? That was kind of sick. A buddy of mine actually works with he's like one of the top guys for the United States fan club or something, so they always have tickets and stuff like that and try to get big buses to games and stuff like that. It's pretty cool. Oh, I love watching that part, Robert. I'll literally just tune in just to watch that part because I think it's so cool. It's so creative. I think it's super creative. I think it's fun. Yeah, Mark, hopefully you did see, by the way, we went over the Dow a few times. I still think this is a very important thing, but it's not proving right now. It's just not. And you're starting to get to the point where you could violate the divergence, so not a good sign. We'll see if that can buy. Remember, it still says 68% chance, right? Still says 68%, but once we confirm down that daily, it's like I'd be very cautious with this thing going into tomorrow if that daily's confirmed and this 30-minute hasn't done anything. But that's the reaction we're looking for. The time to react is if that crosses up, see if that can cross back down. IWM, same thing. Now you're actually making it on the MACD and RSI at the same time. See if that can pop back up. Very good. I love weekly range. Who loves weekly range out there? Come on, someone's got to not have a girlfriend or boyfriend and love something on a computer. Ew, that sounds gross. Never mind. Never mind. Never mind. Scratch it. Scratch that off. Nope. This weekly expected move is my AI girlfriend, 100%. Seeing if this can turn down. I'm still open to that signal. I really like it if that would happen. Housing, notice not seeing anything really there. Nail still dropping. PCC remaining a little elevated, but cross back down. That can actually be a bullish sign. When you cross back through, that can be bullish for a moment, and then people get euphoric. That's down in these areas. No, TLT. See, that's why you want the better buying pressure. See. 3. Nah. 139, yeah. Just gotta really be watching what the actual structure is and where you're at for the week and things like that. Like the weekly expected move alone should say like, hey, this week it's gonna be difficult to go to 150. It's not impossible, it's just gonna be a little difficult. Something more towards 147 would make sense. 146 could make sense. But 150 would be just a massive move that would take away all the structure. So what you're looking for here is we have one 30-minute divergence, right? We could go make that next one touch that weekly expected move. Then that's where I'd be paying attention. So 150 would get rid of that. And usually you do see momentum keep running out as you approach weekly expected moves. Something we could see. Now, if we start to see this is where it gets a little different, right? We start to see this, we go into the end of October, we land like this, and then we curl back up. That's different, right? So we have to see weakness. All right, and we're seeing weakness, that's for sure. We got about, what, 23 minutes left, and then we'll see if Nvidia was able to confirm that down. We'll just wait. We don't have to stare at it the whole time. Bitcoin, 1.5% now. Still dropping. 2 hour not really gaining anything there. Daily scale getting close, so this might be a pivotal moment. Oof, 2 hour divergence at the top too for the Dow, so you got a little hint that this daily was going to cross for the Dow. Now it's crossing in a crazy area. Now you still have the 20. That's a good thing, right? You notice these reactions once to the 50 here, but mostly at the 20. 20. Once you lose the 20, not very good, right? We lost it here. The next time it came down was that area. But reaction to the 20, ride the 20, 20. So we'll see if that can hold up. I think we're paying attention to the right stuff, guys. I think we're good. Zoom out a little bit. There you go. All right, I'll stop clicking around. God dang, sorry. Man, last night when I was making my video for YouTube, you could tell. If you really pay attention to last night's YouTube video, you could tell my ADHD was just kicking. It was kicking hard. About to lose the 1 hour on IWM. Ooh, that's a little rough. I think the SPY will break through 580. Well, the problem with that is your daily expected move is there, your zone is there, and you do have a reversal signal for the Dow and IWM, but not completing. So I'm not trying to day trade ever. I'm trying to position myself well for the next, like, say 30 days. And right now the positioning would say if the daily crosses over here, if Nvidia crosses on a 2-hour, then that would be down for a little bit of time until that's able to turn back up, give us some basing out signals. So that's what we'll watch for. But for now, you have bad divergence for Nvidia, which tells me the spike and drop. So hitting 580, definitely possible. Breaking down below 580, definitely possible. But for us to do that today would be a little bit crazy. Arobi thinks more, and I think the dollar would... I think the dollar would tell you that it's believing that as well, right? The dollar behaving this way for weeks. You're in a weekly trap right now. So if we start to cross over on dailies, watch those weeklies because you might see that proven. Yeah, I'm interested to see how we react down at these levels towards 579 right in here. Because there's actual more liquidity there. We'll see. Buyers could maybe step in. IWM confirming, you're saying, on a bigger time frame. That will confirm in hourly, just crossing right down. 2-hour, not looking good. You see how we use the weekly as resistance? That's fantastic. That's exactly the behavior. We try to use it as support. We gap below it, very important. Then we use it as resistance. So we're starting to get to the point where if you sell off a little bit more, you might be violating the divergences. Yeah, Japan's kind of its own thing, a little bit, right? We're going to react to that for the most part. I know people do the yen to the dollar and things like that, but for the most part, I'll be honest, when I think that I haven't researched it enough. That is one topic that I believe I need to do more research on before I fully commented on it, Jackal. If you do have someone who explains it very well, usually I catch on quick. So if you have someone that explains it very well, just shout them out and I'll go check on that, and then I'll do my own research. But I don't necessarily want to comment on something, and I'm a person that really believes if you know, if people are listening to what I say, I shouldn't just throw something out willy-nilly. You know, I need to do my research to get a better handle on it before I comment. Is that a sarcastic yippee, Jackson? Because I want to be happy for you if something good has happening for you. SPY below 580, there you go. Can it go below 580? Yes, it can. Now we're in an area where we want to see if we get a reaction as well, but now we're getting rid of the divergence on SPY. This is where things can escalate. It is happening in the morning. Small gain. Hey, we like small gains. Small gains can turn into big ones at the end of the year, right? If you look back on it. Volatility now up 4.12. Solid move from volatility. Why is it when things are dropping, we don't have people coming in and saying, wow, you're always bearish? What the hell? Why does that not happen? Why don't the people who get all cocky in my chat come on the days like this? No, we gotta see. These things can still turn around, right? This is where traps are made. Thank you, Arobi. No, we just pay attention at key times, and then sometimes you'll see a little bit bigger move. So what we're really looking for is, in 17 minutes, does this cross? And then that says, hey, we can always see those intraday, those intra-bar things, right? Little 5, little 15, little 30 minutes even, and we got to pay attention if we need to manage trades. But for the most part, this signal has worked 3 for 3 in the past 3 months. So can it work 4 for 4? That's going to be the big deal, isn't it? Wait, yeah, winner, chicken dinner, F small gains. His wife would freak out if he loses. Yeah. You're like, you think you're a cautious trader, and then you get married, and then you're like, wow, my wife will kill me if I'm not a cautious trader. Ooh, one more at 219 would be triple bottom for IWM. IWM still holding the 30-minute signal for now, getting very, very close to violation there. Very close, but it is still there. Which makes me think, is it still on the 15? Yeah, we're still holding it throughout the 15. We're starting to get it though, we'll see. Get it, MLGO. Let's go look. Let's go look at this. Okay, this 15, screw 15 minutes. 2 hour cross back down. Bad sign, because what you're trying to do here is create some big liquidity to make the next big move, right? We just saw a big move. You saw one here, you saw one here. You want to see one here because you take back the 200. That could be fantastic. Then the 2 hour confirms back down. That's not a good thing. Daily scale most likely is going to turn back down as well, right? If the daily scale turns down, where are you? Negative territory, watch out, because that can, well, you would say take out the previous low, go make a new one. But I would say it has a good shot to come test down towards these levels. Here, let me take old man up as we have a little bit of time. Let me just take old man upstairs real quick because he's whining at me. He has the smallest bladder on the planet. Put you guys on a 30-minute. I'll be back in just like 2 minutes. All right, there you go. Good chance to go check out the Patreon or some of the links down in the description for those courses. Remember, 90% off. Pretty much have till the end of November to get those, all right? Be right back. Oh, that's not a bad thing, Scott. Well, then look for that good weekly or daily signal that looks like, hey, this could see as a good investment for some time, because that's good. All right, we're back. We are back. VIX futures just rocketed. Yeah, let's go look at this real quick. Volatility is turning up. Big signal is going to be the daily, right? Big signal is going to be the daily. I believe the 4 hour already crossed up again, actually. So weirdly enough, you have almost 4 hour divergence here, but not quite. Very, very close, but not quite. But 4 hours turning up. Above an area where the last time it turned up, something volatility came in. I think MLGO is more just like investment perspective though. See a good little daily signal, weekly signal. Looking for those Dow futures. Still can pay attention to DIA. You're looking for 4260 on the futures. 428. Signal here is going to be on the 2 hour. See the little 2 hour popping up here, maybe hourly, but reacting down to a key level. In order to get there, I think that would be great. If it did get there, that'd be great. It'd be a great move. For some downside, but it would be a good level to react, right? You see these highs, see the lows of that, boom, you kind of saw the gap probably in the regular market. I like that level a lot. Very good, Chris. God, we love it. That is fantastic. God, that is awesome. And great way to do things, right? Great way to do things. Surprise, can we look at HKD? I put out a fishing line on it just in case it squeezes again in the next few years. Let's go look. Thank you for the $5. Really appreciate that. HKD. Let's see, AMTD Digital Inc. Not the short ones. 2 hour trying to see it. If the 2 hour crosses down, Not the best sign, but you do have some stuff right below. You have this gap that kind of coincides a little bit with the 200. So something I'd look for, if I'm going to see a move, watch that to flash down, flash back up, maybe even on an hourly chart. This would be nice for this to turn down, turn right back up. So there's your opportunity for upside, in my opinion, 2-hour divergence. You just have to notice right now you seem to be in a daily pullback. So a 2-hour is what you're really going to want to look for if this has a chance to head higher. But you can also just be patient, see if that daily is able to confirm up. You see a cross up like this, and boom, we can see a good move. Make sure you're managing trades as always. Daily chart on like a 3-year scale. Let's just scroll it, scroll it, scroll it. This might be a weekly signal or something. I know that the divergence was here for this move. See this divergence here? This is when you really want to go, okay, yeah, this is something I can look at. So if we blow that up down here, you're seeing where the opportunity is. And this is just to teach what a good possible opportunity, something that says, hey, there is a likelihood for a good move here as this thing's been beat up. Look at that daily signal right there. Fantastic, fantastic divergence there. Fantastic divergence there. So that was the real opportunity there. What up, Short Fridays? Let's see this on the weekly. Weekly rejection, that's a good sign, but not enough data to really form anything there. Very good one to look at for this. Now you want to see if it can make the next move higher. You've gotten your first one. This most likely, usually there's a 3 push higher. Ooh, are there short sellers in the stock? All that kind of thing. But 2-hour divergence might help you out there. SPY still heading down. We're in our zone. We're in the zone. Well, we're in the zone with our trading, and we're in a zone of where buyers can step in. Is the Dow. Ooh, Dow violating the divergence on the 30-minute. We don't like that. IWM just about to. We don't like that. This would have to be a big move, and we're not really seeing the dollar drop off dramatically to give us a hint. We are seeing people get towards the put side still. TLT. Oh, TLT. Look at that. See, this is more what you want to see from TLT. Kind of get rid of this and start to go a little bit more up. That's what we want to see. Just a few bars. 1, 2, 3. Then you see it kind of flag out. 1, 2, 3. That's what you want to see. We don't want to hold some flagging structure here. Oracle. I haven't looked at this in forever, so I want to look at it. 30-minute cross down bad. He kind of broke through. Tried to maybe try to do some head and shoulder. Let's look bigger. 2-hour rejection there is bad. Looks like you're still in consolidation here, by the way. Looks like you're still in something. I know that these lines are really thick, but relatively that's what you're looking like. So if that 2-hour does cross up, watch, because that could break through. And then you just want to see, okay, is that, you know, this has been a long downturn. We had divergence at the high. Is this crossing down the daily? Do I have reversal on the daily? You do have reversal on the daily here, but that's still positive for the most part. So pay attention if a 2-hour does curl up. I would say a 4-hour curl up too. 4 hours more what I'd look for if this is going to be a trap. If this just goes like that, right, and then sees that turn down, then you have like, boop. Not the best drawing in the world, but you pull it down. You just see like a 4-hour quick move, curls up, and then just briefly turns right back down. That's when I'd pay attention for weakness. But for now, I think a 2-hour curl up could be a good thing. Maybe create a point between the highs and that kind of thing. Do this, say, okay, this could maybe go like this. If I have a weekly expected move like here, then I'd pay attention if that goes like that, all kinds of stuff. But I think you got some form of consolidation here. And if the 2-hour crosses up, where is it? It's by the center line, so you should expect positivity. Apple confirming downtrend. We haven't looked at Apple in a second here. 2-hour is still turning down. So we were looking for that 30-minute to confirm back down. That has happened. And so this is leaning towards some bad stuff, especially if you start to break this trend. You can see there's a very clear trend here, pretty much following the 5. But you can see, I think we'll take this point and just draw that up. For the most part, you're starting to react below what you would say is this good trend. Always see if that can turn back up, but for now, seems like you might be starting something else. Holding it, it's okay. It's just not the best. 2 hour confirming down though. Now we have to see if dailies are going to rotate. So we are below the 5 too. So this is all leaning towards, hey, we're seeing something that could potentially start some big downside. Check Microsoft. It's still going up. Microsoft is going up. There's a big problem with Microsoft. And that is the fact that, hey, everything is showing topping signals, Nvidia showing that signal that we've paid attention to multiple times, and Microsoft making a move outside of a weekly. It's a problem, right? And right now it's saying, hey, the 30-minute needs to pull back. So that could pull back down into here by the end of the week. Now, earnings, right? Crazy stuff can happen with earnings. We'll see. The main thing is Nvidia going to confirm this in 5 minutes? Right now it's saying yes. Nothing yet. You got to watch by the end of the day, right? The big players play the last hour. The most volume comes in the last hour of the day. Woo! Volatility seems to have popped. My options are liking it. 2 hour confirming back up. Still looking for the daily to cross. That's going to take some time. So I got to pay attention to these short little things on the 30-minute until that actually gets closer to happening. You're like 2 full days of positivity for the volatility and negativity in the market to see volatility cross, but it's good to take back that 5. Oh yeah, let's go check Nvidia. That's right. This is the one we need to watch. So this is like the minimum that you need to cross. How far could it go down today? Well, now you're kind of in no man's land. So we built this zone because this is where the buyers have stepped in. We see wicks in this zone, or little touches of the zone, wick in the zone, wick in the zone. Now we've lost it. We have to see how we're going to react by end of day. That's why we're watching the Dow, we're watching IWM to give us a little hint. And volatility, right? If volatility still confirms down on a 30-minute, that can give us a hint as well. But how far could it possibly go today? I mean, there is a 0.000000001% chance that it hits $0 today. It can go anywhere. That's why I just want to know how to manage my trades. Where it would make sense to go is right here. This is pretty much the lowest it makes sense to go today. Now, the only level that makes sense but a little bit less sense would be a weekly expected move, and the level that doesn't make sense according to the options market and what would really take them off guard, down below that. Does that make sense? Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much like, if the options market isn't pricing it in, then I shouldn't really expect it either, because that's the biggest percentage zone. So if I think something's going to go out of a zone, well, then I had better have some good analysis on that. And right now, you kind of do. Right? For the Dow, for this guy. You have it here. If this holds by end of day, you have it here, saying something crazy is going to happen now. That's what this says. But the Dow is already the furthest down that would make sense. Now it's doing something that technically to the options market would not make sense. And that's that right there. But it is happening. And if that holds down there, it's not going to be pretty. See if we can react back up though, because 68% is bigger than 32%, but I like daily momentum. I trust it, and I would be very cautious with myself if I get convinced to take a call going and that daily is crossed. That's going to be a little bit rough, a little bit nerve-wracking. As you can see, Nvidia towards the end of this bar starting to go a tiny bit lower, kind of bouncing around in this area. Just want to see if momentum can confirm it. PCC, people are saying downside. They want to take the downside, but you're not seeing rigged behavior like, oh, there's some kind of rigged move that happens to the upside. We're just paying attention to a few divergences. You can't really read into the rigged behavior too much here. The more rigged behavior you need to read into is the fact that stocks are still extremely high and you're still in that weekly trap at this level. You're not out of that weekly trap until we go dramatically down. And it looks like Nvidia was telling us a little bit of that. So we'll see. We'll see if this signal, who thinks that this signal proves? 4 for 4. I actually drank my entire coffee today, and I've talked a lot. All right, wait, how much time? 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Posted. All right, now we can see consolidative moves. We can see turn-ups. It doesn't mean it has to happen, right? It just means very probable that Nvidia is going to pull back here in some way. If that's a daily pullback, then we're going to see the daily cross down. And something that's adding some credibility to that is the fact that the SPY is crossing down, is the fact that the Qs have crossed down, is the fact that the Dow, right? The Dow crossing down. If you want that on DJI, we can look at that for you as well. You'll notice that that is crossing down. So everything here is saying bad things are coming. Obviously, we'll look if we have to manage any trades, but that is mainly what we're seeing here. If dailies post by end of day like this, it's not going to be a good thing for the market. And that's why yesterday, with the look from Nvidia and the 3 times we've used this signal and they've all worked out, I think it's one to trust. And therefore, I think that me saying, hey, my opinion is we might have the top here. We might have one more 2-hour move up. We'll see. Earnings can really mess with stuff, but that's my opinion going forward for the time being. If things do start to cross back up, we will try to notify you over on Patreon. If things do start to cross back up, we will be talking about it in tonight's video. And if something crazy starts happening, we'll be live later today. Okay, guys? Thank you guys so much for joining today. I really do appreciate it. I do have to hop off, but thank you guys for being here, genuinely. And if you want to learn about why we were paying attention to this 2-hour signal for Nvidia, we still got to see if it works out, but this is the higher probable trade to look for. If you're interested in learning this style and where that monthly expected move is, how to trade around monthly expected moves and weekly expected moves, get that course down in the description because it's going to really help you out. 90% off throughout November. Thank you guys so much for joining today. Volatility still turning up, right? We got to see if that turns up on a daily scale. You're up on a 2, you're up on a 4. Crazy stuff. Crazy stuff, right? But we'll see if this stuff posts by the end of the day. Talk to you guys later. I'm out. Peace. I appreciate you too, Robert. I appreciate all you guys. See you guys.